The coronavirus pandemic has, to put it mildly, wreaked untold havoc on the global oil and gas industry. Now, to underscore the near-tragic proportions of this situation, Brent crude, the industry's premier product, was, as at this morning, selling at under $20. Nigeria's oil-reliant economy and dilapidated infrastructure, a situation made worse by State Oil Corporation, fraught with all shades of inefficiency, have combined to present a far from certain future for Nigeria's golden goose, the oil and gas sector. Now, for a closer look at this, we're now being joined by Dr. Diran Fawibe, Group Chairman and Chief Executive Officer, International Energy Service Limited. Thanks for joining us on the news at this time. So what would you consider the most profound impact of this pandemic on the oil and gas industry in Nigeria?
Well, it's an open secret that there is low demand for oil globally. And of course, Nigeria oil will be a victim of this global loss in demand. As you know, we export, all our crude oil, because even right now, we cannot even refine crude for our domestic needs. So we can say virtually all Nigeria oil production is exported, to foreign countries. And to the extent that there is a low demand for oil, we are caught in the web of low demand. We don't know how true the stories that have been making round, that so many cargoes of Nigeria oil has been floating in international waters and looking for buyers. But be that as it may, be that as it may, the fact remains that we have low demand for Nigeria oil. So to that extent, our economy is in a poor shape because we derive a lot of revenue, at least foreign exchange earnings, from the oil revenue, from the oil industry. So that is the impact, and this obviously will affect government plan budget for 2020. As you know, about half of the revenue, which will be, which underlie the budget, is to come from the oil and gas industry, and more importantly, the foreign exchange earnings. We take a major chunk of what we are to spend on the budget. So that is the impact of the global problem we are having with respect to oil on the Nigerian economy in the summary.
And on the front page of this day today, you have a bold headline with tumbling oil price. Nigeria may turn inwards for markets. But the problem is there are no refineries to even refine the oil if Nigeria were to look inwards. What kind of dilemma do we find ourselves in, and how can we actually get out of it? Can Nigeria leverage on negative oil prices? Okay. That's the question.
You see, this is one of the things that has been said over and over a time. Nigeria has a population of about 200 million people. Nigeria is a big market for domestic consumption of petroleum products. After all, those who import our oil, whether in China or in India or anywhere for that matter, refine the oil for consumption locally over there. And the irony of this is that we import our own local consumption from the refineries or from the product sellers, overseas, which means that not only we cannot even sell products to other countries, we cannot even sell products to ourselves. So if, for example, we have excess refining capacity to service local demand, then we could be exporting. But today in Nigeria, we have suppressed demand for petroleum products. And today, if we are processing or refining about 800,000 barrels per day or 1 million barrels per day, there will be a good market for it. And the suppressed demand that we have for petroleum products will be lifted. But now, assuming we are only able to refine 800,000 barrels per day, there's a ready market for that in Nigeria. So as you can see, the amount of oil we import from other countries, which means that we were not internalizing oil resources within the country by way of refining and servicing and market. The irony of it again is that we're actually importing. So we are in a fix as far as this is concerned. I've said this over and over again, that assuming we have a crisis that does not allow us to bring products from overseas, it's a question of national security. And national interests will be seriously jeopardized. Now we cannot fathom many things that could happen to cut the supply of products from abroad to Nigeria. Now we see a simple case of coronavirus. Now the refineries in some of these countries are not producing up as much as they should be producing. That's one of the problems causing the low demand for oil, because the refineries in U.S., for example, is not it's at a low level of production, and that is why where Nigeria crude has premium is in the United States, because it's a low sweet, low sulfur. It's a sweet crude, low sulfur crude, and when you don't have demand for oil in U.S., which can actually take our oil, and also in China that we have been exporting oil, and India. So we have this kind of problem. It's a terrible situation for the country.
And how more terrible would it be post COVID-19? Is it going to be a boom or bust situation?
Well, I feel that this will now make us to think more seriously, and stop paying lip service to diversification and of our economy. But the good news for the Nigerian oil and gas industry is that if effort is made to support, more effort is made to support Dangote in terms of its refinery, so that it can come on stream, because that is the only saving grace we are looking up to. Yes, the GMD of NNPC, who has been very forthcoming and upright in terms of dialogue with Nigerians, has said times without number in recent times that the refineries will be, the existing refineries will be rehabilitated. Well, given his position in the scheme of things,
well, he talked about not just rehabilitating, but he talked about actually privatizing the refineries, and wonder whether this really would be the way to go. But then again, it depends on how quickly the refineries can be privatized. And you were talking about the need to target non-oil exports. Explore that a bit more, and which would be the low-hanging fruit for us if we're to begin to truly diversify?
No, that's a very good question. First of all, in terms of the refinery, effort has to be made to quickly do whatever is needful for the rehabilitation to be done. If we are thinking about giving the refinery to private sector to manage, I don't think we have to wait until the rehabilitation has been completed, because it takes quite a long process, in terms of packaging and establishing the framework and the structure to be able to manage it. And we hope that this time it will not just be the talk. We're actually going to implement any arrangement that will take the refineries off the hands of NNPC, in terms of day-to-day operations. One is not saying that NNPC engineers are not capable, but in terms of the structure of the arrangement, whereby government will be breathing heavily on the NNPC, it will be a major problem for NNPC to operate independently and manage the refinery. So if it's in the hands of private sector, and that's what, of course, we also mean that some chunk of the ownership has to be divested from government, and then let who pays the piper dictates the tune in terms of the private sector managing and having equity, not just question of operation and management, but in terms of owning, that will give them incentive to be able to do a better job. In terms of the diversification, now, many years ago,
yeah, Mr. Fawibe, let me just quickly put this in. Since you talked about Trump earlier, you referred to President Trump, and he's been talking about buying up 75 million tons of oil and adding to America's already bursting oil reserves. What sort of signal do you think this would mean, especially for Nigeria? And on the other hand, you have OPEC pumping, just about 15 million barrels of, oil into the system. What impact would this make for Nigeria, or have for Nigeria?
What Trump is trying to do is to save U.S. energy industry, oil and gas industry, and he has made it very clear that he cannot have too many job losses in America, energy job losses in America. Of course, there's no way you can run away from that. A lot of jobs will be lost, but in order to save the U.S. energy sector, that is what is underlying what Trump is trying to do. And as the information is flying all over the place that quite a number of shale gas producers, will be going bankrupt. Though they may be filing bankruptcy under the Rule 11 or whatever that is, but the fact remains that given the low level of demand and the low level of prices, many of the shale gas producers in America cannot survive. Now, in order to support them, U.S. is willing to do the extraordinary, because this will be the first time that U.S. government will be making direct intervention for its oil and gas industry. Now, if that is happening in America, that is for the domestic policy of America. Now, for Nigeria, we have depended on China and India for quite some time. Then I believe that we still have to try to cut this market, because the coronavirus pandemic will not go on indefinitely.
Okay.
And for now, we don't have any alternative routes for supply our oil. But the key thing is that we have to start local refining, not only to supply Nigeria and stop importing petroleum products, but also supply products to African countries.
Thank you so much, Mr. Diran Fawibe, Group Chairman, International Energy Services Limited, for joining us on the news.